Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, they did it. They did it. They turned Cena heel. Welcome to the Elimination Chamber Toronto review. Oh, we got a lot to talk about here, ladies and gentlemen. And I bring a unique perspective because not only did I watch the show, I was there, second row, for some weird reason behind Drake. I have my commemorative chair that about 1,000 people try to buy off of me on the way here. But at this point, the only way that you're going to get that piece of history out of my hands is by using your soul. We're going to go through every single match. I'm going to tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, whether I liked the result, where I think things could go as we go into this crazy road towards WrestleMania. And of course, we're going to talk about maybe one of the most important moments in professional wrestling history unfolding before our very eyes with the Cena heel turn and himself aligning with The Rock. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're going to fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And it will be up tomorrow, but I'm going to do another Elimination Chamber review on Patreon with footage so you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm talking about frame by frame. That is a review, an extra review that you don't want to miss. Patreon.com/SantiZap, link in the description, link in the pinned comment. All right, folks, let's jump into one of the most ground-shifting nights in professional wrestling history. Okay, so before we fully dive into everything, I just want to give a quick thank you to Netflix. They're not sponsoring this video, but they are the ones that sent me to Elimination Chamber, and it's because of them that I just witnessed one of the most historic moments in the history of this medium, in the history of professional wrestling, and they sat me basically right beside Drake. That is absolutely insane. So you probably saw me on TV doing a bunch of shenanigans because I don't know how to hang out around actual rich people and around actual important people, so I was just doing like Jacob Fatu emotes and doing Zero Miedos whenever the camera was on me. I like to think that that's what most wrestling fans would do in that situation. I was so out of place where I was sitting. Now let's quickly talk about the crowd. I can only talk about my experience while I was there. All I can say is that it sounded like we were loud. At the very least, it felt like we were loud for the really, really big moments, like, of course, the ending of the show, but there definitely felt like there was lulls and low points in the atmosphere of the crowd, specifically during the tag match, even if it did have a Toronto legend in Trish Stratus. I'm hoping that maybe it sounded better considering it was a closed dome. However, it is a really, really big venue, so I wouldn't be surprised if the crowd noise got ultimately drowned out by just the sheer size of the arena. All right, so now let's actually dive into things from a match-by-match perspective. We first had the Women's Elimination Chamber match between Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Naomi, Liv Morgan, and Roxanne Perez. And let me tell you something, there is something literally awe-inspiring about seeing the chamber come down as close as I was. It was actually menacing. You know what else was menacing? The fact that the match couldn't even get properly started because Jade Cargill made her triumphant return back to the WWE after being gone for literal months at this point at the hands of a mystery opponent. Now that mystery attacker seems to no longer be a mystery because Jade Cargill comes out before the match can properly start, with the first two being Liv Morgan and Naomi. She breaks into the chamber and she looks like she's about to attack Liv Morgan, only for her to finally attack Naomi as Bianca Belair is just screaming and bashing at the chamber, trying to stop Jade Cargill from attacking Naomi. Seeing that moment play out live was really impactful, and honestly, Bianca's acting, from what I could see, was kind of selling the entirety of the emotional aspect of this situation. So just like that, it looks like we've got ourselves a Mania program for Jade Cargill, and honestly, I couldn't think of a better opponent not named Bianca Belair, obviously, because Naomi, I do believe, is going to give Jade Cargill a fantastic feud and ultimately Jade's best match. Like, Naomi is an excellent worker that can make people look fantastic and elevate weaker talent from an in-ring perspective and elevate them to a higher threshold. So even though it looks like we might not be getting Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair just yet, I think it might end up ultimately being for the better, as we could get that further down the line when Jade Cargill is far more seasoned in the ring. I will say overall, the match was structured pretty well. Once again, yet another year with Liv Morgan being the most valuable player in that women's chamber, doing all of the coolest shit, taking all of the best goosebumps. The hair whip from Bianca Belair to Liv Morgan when they're on top of the pod. I heard that shit. When you were in the arena, you could hear the whip just reverberate. Is that even a word? Reverberate? I don't know. Through the entire stage and arena. I will say Bayley looked kind of weak in this, and I think part of the reason that she looked weak was considering she was the first one to be eliminated from this match. With how much they were setting up something between Bayley and Roxanne Perez, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of expecting Roxanne Perez and Bayley to have more moments within the chamber, and I was expecting one of them to eliminate the other, and they, one, didn't have that many moments in the chamber, and neither eliminated the other. So I'm not really sure what that Mania program is gonna look like, if it even is a Mania program between Bayley and Roxanne Perez. Alexa Bliss looked great in this. When it comes to who was the favorite from the crowd, the one that everyone was getting behind, it was Alexa Bliss. In fact, I would say when we were in the final three between Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, and Bianca Belair, as popular as Bianca Belair is, that stadium was fully behind Alexa Bliss. I really enjoyed the finishing sequence between the final two of Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan. They just have really good chemistry with one another from what I can tell, and they did a really good job at selling the back and forth as to who's going to get that final shot, only for Liv Morgan to go for what looked like to be the finish of the match, only for Bianca Belair to counter, hit the KOD, and pick up the victory. We then have this moment after the match where Bianca Belair is celebrating, and then we have both Rhea Ripley and Io Sky come out to face Bianca Belair, which I think is a smart touch to not, really give a tell as to who's going to win between Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Although I do think it was a good chamber match, I do think that there was a little bit of regression in terms of overall quality and overall like insane moments and general story narratives between people within the actual chamber match. I do feel like there was lacking in that department at the very least. But hey, at the very least, we are walking away with a Mania feud for Naomi and Jade Cargill, and of course, the winner, Bianca Belair here. Does leave a lot of question marks as to like, what do you do with Liv Morgan? What's the play with Alexa Bliss and Bayley and Roxanne Perez that once looked destined for a WrestleMania match? They sort of just look homeless now going into WrestleMania 41. Overall, good match, but I wouldn't say that I was like ultimately blown away by this. Next up, we had the weakest match of the night, in my opinion, Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus teaming up against Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Look, I love Trish Stratus. Toronto loves Trish Stratus. I love Tiffany Stratton as well. I like Nia Jax. I really enjoy Candice LeRae. However, this was never a proper PLE match. This never felt like it had the story and the legs to be at a premium live event, let alone a premium live event that now includes the frickin' heel turn of all heel turns. So this is going to be a premium live event that goes down in the history books, and yet it's going to go down in the history books with everyone forgetting about this match because it is entirely forgettable. I'm not saying that it's bad, but it just sort of felt like a fun little exhibition match, something for Tiffany Stratton to do as she laces up the boots and waits for the big final boss of the women's division that is Charlotte Flair. I would have liked to see something from Charlotte here, not necessarily getting involved in the match because that's not the character that Charlotte is playing, but just be out there and, I don't know, at the very least after the match have a stare down with Tiffany Stratton. It just doesn't feel like WWE is doing a particularly great job at building Tiffany Stratton towards this giant WrestleMania 41 behemoth that is Charlotte frickin' Flair. I've said this before and I'll say it again, this should have just been Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus. This was a fun little exhibition match with a good work rate, but in terms of just the overall atmosphere, the feud going into this, the match not necessarily being groundbreaking, this is going to be the most forgettable match of the entire night, and it's not even close. So even though the match is fun, it will forever and always feel out of place here, so I am going to give this a thumbs down, because if you told me that this happened on a random episode of Friday Night SmackDown, I would believe you. There was nothing about this match that screamed premium live event. There's nothing about this match that screamed Elimination Chamber Toronto, in my opinion. If there is a match that you want to skip because you are watching the show and you're stressed for time, this is a match that you can skip, and it won't even save you that much time because it only ran for about 10 minutes. All right, let's move on to what I thought was the match of the night, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn in a nasty unsanctioned match. Okay, so even though I had amazing seats, this is one of the matches that made my seats kind of worthless because they took this match everywhere in that stadium, and in many cases I couldn't see what the hell was going on. And if you really want me to tack on another first world problem, I was so close to the ring I couldn't even see the screen, so I literally had no idea where they were. I know, poor me, I know. RIP in the comments, poor Santi, this guy's just having the worst night of his life. But hey, once they were actually in the ring, what I witnessed was one of the most brutal, unsanctioned, no holds barred, bloodline rules, whatever the hell it is that you want to call it, matches that I've ever seen. And it wasn't just because of the crazy spots. Yeah, we had a stacked table spot. We had some crazy bumps when they were fighting out there, apparently through tables. So tells me Twitter, because I was able to see the replay afterwards. We had a crazy moment with barbed wire chairs. We had an insane amount of chairs being used. We had, more than anything, just a lot of emotion behind this match, because even though there were a lot of spots, the brutality just felt real because of the emotion that both of these guys were putting with every single chair swing, with every single breath that they were taking in. It just felt like they were, one, actually agonizing, and two, I could feel the storyline hatred between these two. These guys sold this match during the match beyond belief. From an actual work rate perspective and just from an overall physical entertainment, this was my favorite match of the night. Between the spots, the emotional aspect, as I've already spoken in this match, how rowdy the crowd was because the crowd was so behind this match. I personally even liked the different atmosphere that they created for this match. They had like an NXT underground kind of lighting, not quite like Sin Cara, but like darker. Just try and picture that. I love Kevin Owens just snapping and killing like 6 different referees. That is very Stone Cold Steve Austin a la SummerSlam 2001 against Kurt Angle. It's a very similar spot. I think if you want to, cross hairs about this match and you want to complain, I think a fair complaint is that some of the kickouts were just maybe a little bit too unrealistic. There were kicking out of things that in most circumstances would just kill any human on this planet. And they were kicking out. I mean, not as if it was nothing. They were really close, almost 3 counts, but a couple of those moves in those circumstances should be winning matches. But again, that is nitpicking. I'm completely aware of what I'm doing here. And I say it's nitpicking because I think that this match was perfect. This is now one of my favorite matches of the year. I think that this is better than the Royal Rumble ladder match. In fact, I'm going to take back what I just said. I don't think that this was one of my favorite matches of the year. I think right now, I know we're early on in the year, this is my favorite match of the year. They just figured out how to do gratuitous violence without it just feeling for the sake of violence. They really use the emotional aspect and the storytelling to make every single chair shot feel like it was adding to the narrative of this match. I thought this match was absolutely amazing. So the match itself gets a thumbs up, but it's not over yet, folks, because the match did end with a really cool callback to their time in NXT Black and Gold with all the power bombs to the apron. Kevin Owens picks up the victory. He goes to walk away. He tries to come back SpongeBob SeaBear style, only for Randy Orton's music to hit. Randy Orton goes out there, RKO's Kevin Owens, goes to hit him with a chair, but he's like, nah, I'm gonna punt his head off into outer space at this point. But unfortunately, we had the powers that be break up Randy Orton before he could absolutely punt Kevin Owens into oblivion. So in terms of what we have here, I think it's pretty cut and dry. I think that we're gonna go with Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania. When it comes to Sami Zayn, I don't know. I feel like when I look at the players that are available for Sami Zayn, it's probably Karrion Kross, who will probably start to pick at Sami Zayn and antagonize him because he lost this match against Kevin Owens. There's so many different routes that Karrion Kross could take here. Although, of course, I think we all would agree when I say that Karrion Kross versus Sami Zayn is significantly less interesting than Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton, that shit bangs. So another great match, another awesome return, another great moment. So far, this PLE is kind of knocking it out of the park, with the exception of the women's tag match. And now, let's go to the big kahuna. I'm going to include both segments here towards the end. Let's talk about the men's elimination Elimination Chamber match between John Cena, CM Punk, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, and Seth frickin' Rollins. And let's talk about Cody Rhodes selling his soul to The Rock, what his answer was. Okay, so let's start with the match first. I'm going to talk about the overall feeling of the competitors. When I was there was just so much excitement, except when Damian Priest's music hits, except when Damian Priest's pod gets lit up. Damian Priest, I do love. I really like Damian Priest. He is an excellent worker. I think he is so good and has improved in every facet of the game. But in this match, even though he looked good from a physical standpoint, the man stood out like a sore thumb when it comes to just his overall star power. He was just overshadowed by literally everyone in this match. The biggest disappointment of this match isn't even anything to do with Damian Priest, however, it's Drew McIntyre. I now can say wholeheartedly, I don't know what the hell they're doing with Drew McIntyre here, folks. By the way, shout out to the dipshits on Twitter that were saying that Drew McIntyre winning the Elimination Chamber got leaked. All right, this is what I'm telling you. Don't listen to leaks. Don't listen to dirt sheets this close to a PLE because they probably just get fed garbage. Not only did Drew McIntyre not win the chamber, but once again, there are three certain things in life: death, taxes, and Drew McIntyre getting rolled up. Drew McIntyre got his ass rolled up yet again to Damian Priest, setting up the WrestleMania feud that absolutely nobody wanted to see between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. We're very much going down that path. Poor Drew McIntyre. And look, again, I understand the narrative that Drew McIntyre does this to himself, that it's Drew McIntyre's fault, that is his biggest Achilles heel. I don't care. It's dumb. It doesn't work for me. Now, Drew McIntyre, before leaving the chamber, does attack Damian Priest, which sets up Logan Paul to do the splash and eliminate Damian Priest. So once again, really cementing down that they're going to be doing Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre, and literally no one cheered for that. Speaking of Logan Paul, that man was a heat magnet in Canada, coming out with the American flag. I thought it was, as a Canadian, I thought it was a complete fucking joke that the Canadian crowd booed the American national anthem. I get it. Things are tense right now when it comes from a political standpoint between the United States and Canada. In my opinion, politics stays home when we're talking about professional wrestling, this thing that we all love. I really wish that we as a crowd, I promise you I did not. I wish that the crowd did not boo the American national anthem. Logan Paul took advantage of this, however, fair enough, coming out with the American flag once again to a chorus of boos. That is low-hanging fruit that will work every single time. This is one of the things that I say, I really like Logan Paul, but when people hold him to this pedestal that he's the greatest heel in the WWE, I have to just disagree, because he is doing things that will give literally anybody heat. Coming out with the American flag, coming out to John Cena's theme, it's low-hanging fruit. It's easy, cheap heat, but it works, and Logan Paul makes it work. Speaking of Logan Paul, he did get eliminated from this match by CM Punk, and then CM Punk also eliminated Seth frickin' Rollins, and then we had a great moment where Seth Rollins stomped CM Punk's head on the outside, setting up John Cena to put in the STF on CM Punk, all like this. It was all bang bang, and then CM Punk passes out, doesn't tap, passes out to John Cena, sending Cena to the main event of WrestleMania 41 to face none other than the new John Cena of this generation, Cody Rhodes. This was a fairly grounded match. Aside from the big splash from Logan Paul, I don't feel like there was much from a brutality standpoint. Like, for example, this paled in comparisons to brutality compared to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and it definitely lacked the verticality, as there weren't really any cool moments from the top of the pod. Like I said, aside from Logan Paul's splash, there was very little use of verticality within this match, which I really thought was a shame. But then again, like, I'm not ultimately surprised, considering that almost every single participant in here, aside from Logan Paul, is over the age of 40. Seth Rollins is pushing 40. That's why I said almost all of them, which is why I'm not surprised that there weren't any of these like crazy extreme moments in this match. But when I think of Elimination Chamber, I want to see those moments. And it is made to be seen even more obvious when you're following up one of the most brutal and extreme matches that I've ever seen in Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, that these guys, they were quite safe when it came to using the Elimination Chamber. But even though I felt like the match was lacking from like the crazy moments that you would expect from a chamber, it definitely wasn't lacking from storylines. It wasn't lacking from the actual like in ring, because the back and forth between a lot of these guys were truly and just genuinely really good as well. This also did something that the women's match couldn't do, which was give literally almost everyone in this match, aside from Logan Paul, but Logan Paul is a specialty attraction. You can literally put him against almost anybody on the roster, and it's a WrestleMania attraction. But Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and John Cena all walked out with very clear-cut WrestleMania plans, something that unfortunately the women's match was not able to do. They don't need to walk away with concrete plans for Logan Paul, because like I said, it's Logan freaking Paul. They can just start a program out of thin air with Logan Paul for WrestleMania and everybody would buy it. It does bring questions about what the play is here for CM Punk. CM Punk still has the favor. CM Punk will likely want to go after Seth Rollins. We still have Roman Reigns in the picture. He's probably going to want to go after Seth Rollins. So it looks like the rumored triple threat between Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk is about to become very much a reality. But I was so happy, man, that John Cena won. Many of you guys already know that I am a massive John Cena fan. Bro, I was like tearing up when John Cena was making his way out to the ring, because I hadn't heard John Cena's theme live at a wrestling show since 2006. I was 13. I am nearly 32 years old now, so that shit hit in the feels. And John Cena winning, celebrating, getting pyro, pointing at the WrestleMania sign, brother, that brought me back to a time where life just sort of felt simpler, and I just didn't have as many problems that I do. Like, it took me back to a time when I didn't have back problems like I do now. So I'm still going to give the chamber match a thumbs up because of everything that it did, everything that it laid out going into WrestleMania 41, but it's definitely not a perfect chamber match, especially from, if you're looking for a little bit more brutality out of this chamber, this was probably never going to be the most brutal chamber based on things like the amount of star power and the age of many of the stars that are in this match. Now, let's actually talk about the ending, because this is what you were here for. This is the thing that wrestling fans are going to remember literally until the end of time. I'm telling you, this was a ground-shaping, ground-changing, like monumental moment that you're never going to forget. This is a canon event in professional wrestling, what we witnessed during the selling of Cody's soul segment to The Rock. And they didn't wait. Cena was out there celebrating. Cody's music hits. He and Cena have a little moment. Then The Rock's music hits. Travis Scott goes out there with The Rock. And then the moment happens where The Rock asks, "Will you be my brother? Will you give me your heart? Will you give me your soul? Oh boy, do I really want your soul." Cody Rhodes makes it sound like he's gonna sell his soul to The Rock, like, "Rock, the soul is no longer mine, but that's because I sold my soul to this ring and to these people long ago." Obviously getting a huge like chorus of cheers from the crowd, only for Cena to embrace Cody Rhodes, shake his hand, celebrate, hug, and for the final boss to do this symbol right here. I still haven't seen what it looks like on TV, but I could see The Rock doing the cutting of the throat. I could see Cena's stoic body language just change. He low blows Cody Rhodes, turns heel in front of all of us, beats down Cody Rhodes, bloody, steps over his corpse, and sells his soul to the final fucking boss, dude. What the hell? Here's the thing. Younger wrestling fans, and I'm going to sound like this old dude, this might not hit with you just yet. I think you might need to let this truly sink in before you truly understand the importance of this moment. One of the things that I said kind of jokingly was that if The Rock and Cody Rhodes was going to main event, they better fucking change this timeline. It better be so good, so groundbreaking that we are no longer on the same timeline at all. It needs to create a ripple in space and time And I swear to God, that's exactly what they did. That is exactly what they did. The only way that this segment deserved to main event over something like the men's chamber or Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens is to dynamically change the game like they did with John Cena's heel turn and give us one of the most groundbreaking canon moments in the history of this fucking sport. I love this. I loved everything about this. Granted, you already know that Cena can do no wrong at this point. Cena could literally, I don't know, find a way to stop world hunger and tell no one, and I'd still be on board with John Cena at this point. I'd ride or die at this point, guys. There's literally nothing that Cena can do for me to change my mind about him. And if he decides to sell his soul, fuck it, I'm on board too, baby. But yeah, guys, this was the only way that The Rock and Cody Rhodes deserved to main event, and they literally did it. They did the only thing that made Cody Rhodes and The Rock be worthy of main eventing this over all the other matches that we had here. And now, this road to WrestleMania, this might be the craziest road to WrestleMania of all time. Like, I just don't know what Raw is gonna look like. I don't know what Cena's entrance is gonna look like. I don't know what Cena's promos are gonna look like. It feels like, even though Cena's been around for, at this point, damn near almost 30 years, it just feels like it's a brand new person. It feels like a brand new character has entered the equation, a character that we don't know what they look like. Oh, we've seen Cena as the Doctor of Thugonomics. This isn't going to be it. We are literally going to be introducing a brand new main event character into this world of professional wrestling, and that has me ridiculously excited. So again, I say the Cena heel turn, one of the most ballsy things that WWE has ever done. I'm glad that they're doing this before Cena fully retires. I don't know if his full rest of his retirement tour is going to be him as heel. It kind of nearly has to be, right? He might turn babyface at the end, but they can't have him heel for a, one PLE cycle. Like, this is such a big moment that they really need to milk this for a long time. Obviously, now we're going to be getting Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, and I mean, the dynamic of this match has changed. It was already a match that I wanted to see. It was already a match that would have easily sold and headlined WrestleMania Night 2, but now it just became a must-watch event. If you've ever even so much as breathed air near a TV that was playing professional wrestling, you need to watch this match. You need to watch WrestleMania 41. Shout out to Triple H. You pulled the trigger. You cheeky bastard. I can't believe you had the balls to do it. That's it, folks. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to check out the Patreon for the much longer review with footage that'll go out once I'm back. I'm in the hotel, so I'm going to be back tomorrow morning. But that's it, folks. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Goodbye. Get out of here.